Israel tested for a third straight night by barrages of Iranian missiles. Some again breaching the country's fabled air defence systems. At this site in central Israel, dozens of people were injured and several killed.
We have one critical patient, and unfortunately, up to now, 3 people have been declared dead on scene.
In Haifa, in the north, more direct hits on an apartment building and an oil refinery, amid threats of more to come.
Advance warnings for your future days. Leave the occupied territories, for they will certainly become uninhabitable for you.
Israel, meanwhile, says it's hit more military sites in Iran and populated areas. Some residents scrambling to get out of harm's way.
People are worried, and most of the petrol stations are crowded because people are planning to get out of the city.
Israel says it's killed another senior military figure, Mohammad Kazemi, the country's Revolutionary Guard intelligence chief. He's among more than a dozen military, intelligence and nuclear officials assassinated in Operation Rising Lion, including top General Mohammad Bagheri. US media is reporting the White House vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei.
There's so many false reports of conversations that never happened, and I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you, I think that we do what we need to do, we'll do what we need to do, and I think the United States knows what is good for the United States.
But Benjamin Netanyahu didn't rule out that Israel's assault could bring about regime change.
Could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak.
On his way to the G7 in Canada, Donald Trump suggested a settlement was still possible.
I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal and we'll see what happens, but sometimes they have to fight it out.
Airspace remains closed. The Australian government says it's planning repatriation flights for stranded citizens when and if it's safe to operate them.
The timeline is primarily dictated by safety, and as long as governments have closed down airspace because of the risk to civilian aircraft, obviously no one can fly, and we certainly can't fly.
Citizens on both sides are left counting the cost of the conflict, with hopes fading it'll be over anytime soon.
Middle East correspondent Eric Tworcek is on the ground just east of Tel Aviv. Eric, more missiles are evading Israel's defences. How are residents responding?
Well, with a significant amount of concern, Jess, because you can see the damage isn't just limited to the impact sites. You get blast wave damage that extends away from the site for several hundred metres. You can see up there that's where the missile hit on the side of that multi-storey apartment building, but all around it, a school, a childcare centre, a synagogue, they've all been damaged. And you can see there are some search and rescue and recovery efforts underway in the nearby buildings. So, you know, the impacts are pretty broad, and this is just one site. We don't know how widespread the impacts have been because the Iranian military says it's been targeting military infrastructure inside Israel, and it's illegal to report on that. You can't even get close to any military sites that might have been hit by these ballistic missile waves. We know there are multiple residential sites, and those are the ones they want us to come and cover, but we can't tell you what damage there's been to military infrastructure or even the extent of the damage to other critical infrastructure like the oil refinery in Haifa, which has also reportedly been hit. But the Israeli government is telling people that this might be ongoing. There could be more ballistic missile waves, and surprisingly the residents here have said to us they believe it's worth it. Even though several people died in this particular strike and others around the country, they say it's worth the price to put a stop to Iran's nuclear ambitions.
Eric Tworcek, thank you.